Last week, conservative commentator Matt Walsh posted a video addressed to Dylan Mulvaney, a trans influencer, in which he spoke a number of truths. Truths like this.
Dylan, if that is the most attractive you will ever look, then I don't even want to imagine what you'll look like when you're at your ugliest. You do not pass as an attractive woman or as a woman at all. Even with 50 pounds of makeup and plastic surgery and clever lighting tricks, even then you still cannot escape what you really are and what you will always be. You have successfully shed whatever parts of you were masculine, perhaps, at least on the surface. Nobody would ever describe you as masculine or manly, so you've got that going. But your femininity quotient has not increased at a rate commensurate with the loss of your masculinity. You may not be masculine, but you also aren't feminine. Instead, you are weird and artificial. You are manufactured and lifeless. You are unearthly and eerie. You are like some kind of human deep fake. That's what you are.
And on our Raw stream, which is a satirical comedy show where we jokingly discuss the issues of the day, we suggested that Matt had gone too far and teased him gently about what he said.
He responded on Twitter to defend his right to state the truth and criticise people he disagrees with.
Now, we believe in Matt's right to criticise people he disagrees with without fear of being cancelled or attacked. And among the many reasons we will gladly defend Matt's right to criticise others without being cancelled or attacked is that we also want the right to criticise people we disagree with, people like Matt.
Which is why we were surprised to find out we're now cancelled for disagreeing with him.
Now let's get to our daily cancellation. Okay, so it's been a week since my brief but now infamous segment on this show about trans activist Dylan Mulvaney. That, as you know, all I did in the segment was speak honestly to Dylan and about Dylan, a man who degrades and appropriates womanhood while shilling for child mutilation and sterilization. It does all of it for... In order to frame those points, I'm going to play a quick montage of some right-of-center media figures and podcasters sharing their criticisms of my Mulvaney comments. And what you'll hear in these clips doesn't come close to representing the harshest rebukes that have been directed at me, but they do capture the basic point that all of my critics have been trying to make in one form or another with varying levels of outrage. Listen.
Here's my take on it is, and obviously I'm much softer generally, but like, there's nothing he said that isn't true, but it accomplishes nothing.
And I will absolutely say, yeah, it's mean. Yeah, Matt Walsh is being mean. I mean, come on. Matt Walsh insults Dylan Mulvaney as eerie, weird, and bizarre. You can get the point across without saying that.
The major divide on this video is whether or not the language was a little too harsh towards Dylan.
I mean, do you reckon he's into her? It sort of does look like the sort of thing somebody would say that when they're slightly obsessed with somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
And look, factually, he's not wrong.
Yeah.
Is he?
No.
Factually.
Yeah. I don't look. If your job is to win hearts and minds, I don't think this is the best way of doing it.
What if it's your job to get clicks online?
Again, but do clicks lead to changing of opinion?
No. I don't think he's trying to change anyone's opinion.
What do you think he's trying to do then?
He's trying to make people on his side feel like he's done something cool and said something that they think, I think.
Do you think that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's not trying to change Dylan Mulvaney's mind, is he?
Yeah, I completely agree. I just look at that and just go, even people on his own side were like, hold on a bit, mate.
There are no hard feelings, we can disagree and all that. It's fine. I could have done without the snideness and the lame cheap shot from the TRIGGERnometry guys at the end, especially in a video where they're supposed to be lecturing me about the value of taking the high road. Okay, when you're gonna do that, you can't start the video by insulting me, but we'll leave that to the side for now. You'll notice the connecting thread. Okay, they all agree that I'm right, that what I said is factually correct, but they think that it goes too far by saying it out loud. Mulvaney's the one running around like some cartoon of a woman passing out camp.
In the full segment, which we encourage you to watch, Matt says we are cancelled along with fellow YouTubers Tim Pool, The Quartering, Sydney Watson, and Amala Ekpanobi. A weird mix of attractive right-wing women and men like us who've seen better days. It's all a bit frustrating as this is our third cancellation this week and the admin alone has been horrendous.
Now, to be clear, Matt, we have no personal animosity towards you. And as you say in your segment, you have none towards us. Konstantin wrote a very positive review of your movie, and we then interviewed you about it to help promote the film.
We were not aware you were experiencing a pylon, and it was not our intention to join in it. We were just reacting to your video live on air without any context.
I'll also hold my hands up and say I got into a Twitter spat with you that I regret. I deleted a tweet that crossed the line and apologised. These conversations should have happened in private, or at least somewhere where no one would have seen them. Maybe next time, Matt, we have a row, we can do it on Clubhouse.
Oh, I forgot about Clubhouse. Anyway, you're probably unfamiliar with the comedic nature of our Raw shows where we spend 90% of the time doing ridiculous accents and making stupid jokes.
Hello, I'm from Trinidad. Trinidad and Tobago. Is that a pub in Dublin? Yes.
My comment about you being into Dylan Mulvaney was just a throwaway line. It was not meant as a cheap shot.
So let's get into the actual substance of our disagreement. While neither of us is conservative and we have very different views to you on many issues, this is actually a subject where we are on the same side. Just in case you're not aware of our work, here's a quick recap.
In 2019, when the mutilation of children you mentioned was being ignored by most of the mainstream and alt media here in Britain, we, two comedians working in a woke industry, interviewed Posey Parker, a controversial gender-critical activist, on our YouTube channel. We knew we were risking having our channel deleted, demonetized, or getting a strike.
When we released it, YouTube, surprise, surprise, deleted it for hate speech and gave us a warning. Basically the first step to having your channel deleted.
We organized a media fight back and it was eventually reinstated, reaching millions of people. Even now, 4 years later, we still get regular emails from people who say that video saved them from transitioning, taking puberty blockers and so on.
Since that time, we've hosted dozens of people on this subject, including a mother who transitioned her children and regretted it, a whistleblower from the Tavistock Gender Clinic. The clinic was shut down following an investigation. Not saying our interview caused it, but it was part of the coverage that did.
We've interviewed authors and academics who studied this issue and raised the alarm, like this, and this, and this.
We've also interviewed trans people who are critical of the extremes of gender ideology, like this, and this, and this, and this.
We've also highlighted the cancel culture that punishes people who speak out against it, like this, and this, and this, and this.
You can count on the fingers of one hand the number of British comics and satirists who are willing to mock this crazy ideology. We are two of them.
We don't bring this up to suggest that we've done more than you or anyone else on this issue.
We don't talk publicly about the threats of violence we receive for talking about this issue, because we don't want to play the victim. We're just saying we're fighting the same fight.
The reason we disagree with you is not that we aren't sufficiently angry at the brainwashing and ensuing mutilation of children, the introduction of penis-wielding creeps into women's prisons, or the invasion of women's sports by men who've taken more steroids than the Liver King.
The reason we disagree with you is precisely because we think all of those things are awful and want to stop them, like you do. We just think that unlike much of your other work, this particular video will have alienated more people than it brought over to our side. And trust me, we both have plenty of experience in pissing people off.
We made two specific criticisms of your approach in this particular video. First, we said you were preaching to the choir instead of attempting to win hearts and minds. And you can see this in your response. You were speaking to your audience who are like you and like us, justifiably angry. And you're vocalizing that anger for them, which makes them feel understood. It makes them feel empowered. Well, what are they empowered to do exactly?
These people already agree with you. You aren't changing their minds. You're creating more angry people in the world who now feel that the way to deal with the spread of gender ideology is what? Calling a trans influencer ugly? As someone who looks like a cross between Harry Potter and a lesbian, I don't have a problem with people making fun of someone's appearance online. But I'm just not sure it achieves anything.
The other criticism we made of your approach is that we don't think this is the way to win people over. Of course, no one believes anything you say could possibly change Dylan Mulvaney's mind.
Women can be stubborn like that, Matt.
But it's not Mulvaney's mind we need to change. And this right here is the core of our disagreement. We believe the way to stop the proliferation of this craziness is to convince the silent, scared, ignorant, and disinterested majority that this matters. And this is the really important bit, we have to convince them that they aren't bigots or bad people for being concerned about these issues. Let's be honest, neither you or us cares about being called names on the internet, but most people don't want to be on the nasty side of this debate.
Here in Britain, a small but growing number of politicians like Rosie Duffield, who is actually on the left, are slowly starting to push back against this ideology. We need to make it easier for politicians to talk about this issue without immediately being lumped in with people who are considered hateful, whether rightly or wrongly.
Most people who are on the fence aren't going to be persuaded by insults and anger, no matter how righteous the anger or how accurate the insults.
We have to convince them that we are right, not only factually, but also morally. We have to convince them that we are on the right side of history.
And we don't believe that calling Mulvaney ugly is the best way to do that. Sorry.
Now we know that your cancellation of us is tongue-in-cheek. You aren't trying to take down our YouTube channel or get us banned on Twitter. But the idea that because we disagreed with your specific approach in one specific video, we don't care enough about the issue is just not true.
You care and we care, so let's keep working and carry on being the most effective Nazi transphobe bigots we can be. And if we disagree about the best way to do that, let's do what adults do.
Make sniping videos about each other on YouTube.
Okay. Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
Is your fly under there?
Yeah, it is. There we go.